Hey, gals, guys, and other eyes, welcome to Commentary Edition, the show where I talk. Today we're going to be looking at my creative hooks, how Spielberg does action video. One of my favorites ever. Let's just jump right into it. Click. And start with the projector. This is easily my favorite video visually that I've done. I think it's so easy to make things look good when they just look old-fashioned, when you don't have to come up with like a really original new look. Like my last video, the building versus inventing, I had nothing to base that aesthetic off of, and I just had to come up with everything from scratch, and it was so hard to do and gave me such a hard time. And this is just like, nah, I just gotta do adventure feeling. I love this font so much. It's Simplicito, which I've used a million times since then, probably in every video I've used it at some point. And for every video, I always figure out some cool new thing that I didn't realize I could do in the editing software After Effects. And for this one, I finally realized that motion blur was just a button I could have pushed the whole time, and it makes everything look so much better with the transitions. And it makes me want to go back and redo all my old videos because it looks so good, and it takes forever to render, but it looks so good. With the Batman Begins thing, I love Batman Begins. It's one of my favorite, but the action is just so forgettable. And Christopher, don't hate on me. Christopher Nolan himself said it was very forgettable. And then he went and made it super good in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. That Bane and Batman fight is such an improvement. Obligatory hook joke because everyone else was going to make that joke. Look how I love the look of this video. I'm so cocky about it, but just this specifically, this was I had some pressure going into this video because while I was working on this video, it was when the channel sort of took off and went from like 24 subscribers to like 13,000 subscribers in a week or two. It was absurd. And so I was like, oh, hey, I have to make actual good stuff now. I can't just crap around like a doof. So I still, this video is literally me crapping around like a doof right now. So you're paying for it though. That's the big difference. This video, I love it so much. It was actually, it got featured on One Perfect Shot, and that is on, it's a Twitter profile, which is one of my favorites ever, and that is my whole bucket list. I have no more bucket lists. Now I just have a bunch of buckets I want to own still, but that was the other thing on my bucket list. Wonder Woman is great. Ignore the little thumbnail thing in the bottom left there, the little tag on there that I did not notice while editing this. Yes, I did not buy Wonder Woman specifically to get this shot. I borrowed it from YouTube. My apologies to Wonder Woman herself. Then Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is, I feel like there are three things that I feel like I'm an absolute like expert on, like I'm just obsessed with, and I know all the ins and outs. And that is BioShock lore. It's mostly video game lore, just because I just get into these, like, they're contained enough to where I feel like I can actually know all of it. BioShock lore, Half-Life / Portal lore, because they're connected, and Indiana Jones. I have been obsessed with the making of it, the stories, everything, since I was like 5. It's so good. And this video, it hurt to cut down how many other action films I was referencing here. I had to make it just about Spielberg because this video could be 1 billion hours. I am obsessed with action. I think it is often the least respected genre, but I think it is also one of the hardest genres to do well. I feel like it's easy to make it passable. You just throw an explosion in there, have someone running from a thing, throwing some gunshots, but it is extremely, extremely hard to do it well and do it memorably. And Spielberg is brilliant at that. Look at this editing. That's the actual editing. I never noticed how bad that, specifically that part was, until I went back to it. And yuck, Batman. Gotta talk about indie pooping. Always gotta talk about indie pooping. So speaking of Spielberg, I rewatched Schindler's List while researching this, and like I said, that's when my my Avatar: The Last Airbender video took off while I was making this, and I made the mistake, the awful mistake, of saying that Nazis are bad, and that there are still Nazis that exist and call themselves Nazis, and I got so many comments that are like, Nazis don't exist, and also, oh, Nazis aren't bad, which is the worst, and I had just watched Schindler's List, and so I just wanted to punch everyone in all their faces. I wanted to punch every face. It really bummed me out. I had no tolerance for it. Go watch Schindler's List though, and here's a clip coming up from it. Saving Private Ryan's so good too. You know what, the Spielberg guy, I think he has a future in the movies. I think he's pretty good. I had to narrow it down between this whole opening sequence with young Indy and older Indy, because they're both so good. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think, is a perfect film, but my personal favorite and the most enjoyable for me to watch is Last Crusade, and I love Sean Connery so much in it, and I love that opening, and I still don't understand this slurp puddle thing. I was hoping, I'd get some comments explaining, like, oh yeah, obviously, the little slurp puddle. All of the comments were just, yeah, no, what, Spielberg? What you talking about? But yeah, Indiana Jones is so good, and this section coming up, German tank chase, that is so memorable to me that I literally did not have to rewatch it to run down every beat of this. All this beat for beat rundown was me doing it from memory, because it is so engraved into my brain. And it's not that I've watched Raiders a lot more than Last Crusade, actually, and yeah, it's just stuck with me so much. I love it so much. It's so Indiana Jones, especially this hook, my favorite hook ever. It's so good. Just that it would not be half as good without Indy having that reaction to it. Harrison Ford is magical at what he does. It's a very thin range of what he does, but what he does it the best. Coming up with these subtitles. Actually, here's a little insight, because where else? What are you getting out of commentary edition if not explaining super obscure references? The last subtitle for the last hook is a reference to GameInformer.com incident, because the subtitle for the last hook is Bully 2 Hats Back Jack or something like that, and apparently at Game Informer, someone was showing interns how to post articles, and they just made up a title, and so they made up like, Bully 2 Kevin's back, Jack, and accidentally posted that when they were showing the interns how to do it, and quickly took it down, but someone saw it, and then next thing you know, all of the gaming sites were like, announcement leak for Bully 2 Kevin's back, Jack, there it is, and there was not even a Kevin in Bully. And that's the whole thing. So, you're welcome, two people that, yeah, it's not even two people. It's literally just me that got that. This whole thing with the airplane and the map and everything, that was clearly just 10 seconds, took 5 hours for me to do. That's why these videos take so stupidly long, because I had to find a good map. I had to find good old stock footage of planes, which turns out very hard to find, especially in the right. I had to find black and white and all this. It's a pain in the ass, and then have those 14 clips animating at the same time and create that red line from scratch to them. It was such a pain. I hope you guys appreciate this. This big picture thing, I've gotten multiple requests to make it a t-shirt or a poster or whatever. I love it, and it was this very simple thing, because of that thing where it just transitions to saying moments a bunch. It took so long to make that because it nearly broke my computer in half, because it was made up of blurred words, and After Effects hates rendering blurs ever. It hates it. It's allergic to it. And so I had to keep that like blurred word and animate it, but it was 100 blurred words, and it was a nightmare. And again, the things I do for these videos, and it resulted in one of the best looking things I've made. Look at this fake projector effect. I love it. Spielberg, absolute best. And actually, well, first, quick shout out to second favorite gag here. So excited to be able to put this at the end. It's really fun. So good. I did not get to see Raiders of the Lost Ark or Temple of Doom on the big screen until it just so happened right after I made this video. My local theater played Last Crusade. I think they had like a marathon, but I missed the first two movies. And I got to see that finally after living for 27 years. Is that how old I am? I don't know how old I am. And then my local, the St. Louis Science Center, which is one of the best places on the planet, they had an Indiana Jones night. And they had all these booths where they're like, oh, here's an escape room puzzle that you can do, and here's all these artists selling Indiana Jones stuff. It was so fun, and so many kids and adults dressed up as Indy, and it was the absolute best. And then they showed it, they screened the film on the OmniMax Dome screen, which is a weird way to experience it, but it was so fun. And just to see the audience react, it's like that. Oh, here we go. Favorite joke in any video. It's so stupid. I apologize so thoroughly, but it is sincerely my favorite joke I've ever done. I feel very guilty for that. All right, we did it. Thank you to all of the patrons. Let's see if I can do this off the top of my head because I didn't pull up the list. Sandy Swagger, thank you. TC Arkenberg, thank you. Houston, thank you. Kathy Murphy, thank you. Medium D Speaks, thank you. I think that's all of them. I think I got you all because I know you all by heart. You are in my soul. Thank you to all these beautiful patrons. You are awesome. See, I don't have to remember your names. I just got to throw it up on the screen. You're welcome, Future John, for all the extra work. And as always, go make stuff. That was a weird one. Go make stuff.